Thank you very much.
I
appreciate it.
in a simple way. I grew up in the country. I shared a bedroom with my 3 brothers my whole life growing up until I went off to school. Paid my way through school. I went to Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia. I graduated from there. As Joe alluded to, I went into the military. I was an active duty Army officer for a number of years. But then I got out, and for the last 20 years and change, I've been out in the private sector. I've been paying taxes. I've been paying attention. I've been doing the very same things that each of you is doing and have been doing. And this is what's at stake for us as a nation, is the future of this nation. This is a nation that didn't get here by accident. It's not going to stay where we are on autopilot, and we know this. And I could go on for a long time, and I won't, about the fact that whether it's financial or educational or spiritual or moral or whatever the case may be, the paths that we are on are not good. We're not in a better place now than we were a generation ago. And we're not on track to find ourselves in a better place than we are even now. And the question we're left to ask with is, what is each of us willing to do about it? There's a lot of discussion you hear about, gee, I hope somebody steps up. I've said this myself. I hope somebody steps into this race. I hope somebody comes to the forefront. I hope somebody will stand in the gap. But every one of us knows, and for those of you that are running or have run or are currently in elected position, you understand that the somebody is always somebody. And sometimes the somebody is us. It's really that simple. It's no more simple or complicated than that. And so this is an instance where somebody needs to step up. Somebody needs to fight for the people of Kentucky, to represent the people of Kentucky, to represent true conservative principles. I was just over at Mayfest, and I had a woman as I was leaving. It was interesting. We were just making our way back to the bus, and interestingly, I wish this was my bus. I'm in this bus for 5 days, and I get to pretend it's my bus, but it has been wonderful. And honestly, before I tell you what this woman asked me that was kind of insightful, let me just, they're going to hate me for this, but I want to call my family up here real quickly. Lana, come on up here real quick. I want to introduce my family to you. I just had to give the Bevin family whistle, and you see they start coming up there. I bet some of you didn't even realize that I just did that, did you? But yeah, go ahead and grab. Come on over. I want to introduce you to this whole crew, because I'll tell you what, there has been a great price paid by a lot of people in my family, and I'm grateful for that. It starts with my beautiful wife, Glenna, who has really been a true blessing to me. She really has. She's an amazing woman in many, many respects, and I'm just grateful. I always jokingly tell people I've got 9 children, she has 10, and so I'm grateful for the fact that she puts up with all 10 of us. This is Isaac, who is right here. Isaac is 9 years old. This is Grace, who is 15 years old. This is Olivia, who is 12 years old. This is Jonah, who is 7 years old. In the back here is Madison, who is 14, and her twin sister Mackenzie, who is 14. And this is Lydia, who is 9, and little Dan the man, who is 4. And this is Sophia, who's 12, and this is the Bevin crew. So thank you. I won't make you guys stay here unless you'd like to stay up here, but we'll let you. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. You can go back and keep playing. But he almost acts like he's maybe heard me speak before. I mean, here's the thing. This is, at the end of the day, this is why we're here. Every single one of us is a father, we're a grandfather, and I love it. We're firing the thing back up again. We're fathers and we're grandfathers, we're mothers and we're grandmothers, we're uncles, we're aunts, we're sons, we're daughters, we're grandparents. This is why we are doing this. This is why this is so important. We need men and women that will fight for us where we are. I'm the only one in this race that is raising a family in this environment. Between myself and Mitch McConnell and Allison Grimes, I'm the only one raising a family in today's world. I'm the only one that has served this nation on active duty in the military. And I'm the only one who's ever created a job that you all didn't pay for. And that's something that unfortunately, I employ dozens of people, and I'll tell you, it is getting increasingly difficult. For those of you who know from personal experience, it is getting increasingly difficult to be a small business owner in this country. If you have 49 employees, what's your incentive to hire a 50th employee? 0. Zero incentive. And why are we as a nation suffocating the very entrepreneurial spirit, and suffocating the very economic enthusiasm that is needed for future generations? Where is the job creation going to come from? Where is the incentive for the next generations if we overtax and overregulate things into non-existence? And that's what we're doing. My businesses, I own all or part of 10 different companies. Everything from metal stamping, I make bells, as I've heard a few little bells ringing out there. These are Bevin bells. I make all the bells for the Salvation Army kettle ringers. I've got companies that make medical devices, companies that make composite decking and railing systems, companies that make LED signs for schools and churches. I don't make the jumpy balloons, but I wish I did every time I see how much fun kids have in these things. But a variety of things. And I tell you, we've got to incent people to go into the future and create this opportunity. I'm not going to make this very long at this point. I really and truly, at this point, this race comes down to not so much ideology, because frankly, the people that have not already made up their minds are going to vote on a motion at this point. It's as simple as that. Let's not kid ourselves. And so I agree with those who say that we've got to get out and talk to folks, not only in this race, but in every race. We've got to get out and talk to people. 1, 3, 5, 10, 50, 100 people. Bring them out. Bring them out to the polls. This is how it's going to be done. This is our race to win. This is our time. This is truly an opportunity for America, for Kentucky. When we win this race, we will send a shot across the bow of the political establishment. You talk about a shot heard round the world. This will be a shot heard round the world. I'll tell you something interesting. Last week, I was out on the road, and I was being followed around by several different news crews. And I had a crew from France, a crew from Denmark, a crew from Austria, and a crew from Germany. You know where we didn't have anybody from? The United States of America. And they were flabbergasted. And they said, why is it that whenever we're following one of the candidates, we're the only ones that seem to be paying attention? When we're with you, we're the only ones. When we're with Grimes, we're the only one. When we're with McConnell, well, we can't find McConnell, is what they said. Literally. They literally are not allowed near him. But that said, the point they were making is that where is the local media? Where are the people who care? And I'll tell you, where are our fellow citizens? There's at best going to be 3 out of 10 of us that are registered to vote that are going to vote on Tuesday. And as was noted, that's pretty pathetic. It really is. And shame on us. And I'm guessing it won't be the us that's assembled right here. But where are our fellow citizens? Bear in mind that only 6 of 10 people that are eligible to vote even bother to register to vote. The last gubernatorial primary, we had 12.8%. And when we're up here in Boone County, in Boone County, the reality is you got a strong Republican stronghold, and you're going to have good turnout because you got a lot of primaries, and the same for Kenton and Campbell and others up here. But around the state, we'll be lucky if we see 25 or 30%. We can do better than that. Encourage your friends to be informed. Encourage them to do the homework. Send them cheat sheets if you must. If you've done homework on judges and other nonpartisan races, or even among candidates where there are 4, 5, or 8 candidates running on a particular ticket, give them information. Share that information with your friends. This is our government. You hear a lot of people talk about this being a battle for the heart and soul of the Republican Party. But it's bigger than that. And some of you have heard me talk about this, but if you've not, I challenge you to recognize that this is much more than a battle for the heart and soul of the Republican Party. This is a battle for the heart and soul of the entire political process. And it's a function of whether or not we are still in charge. It's a function of whether this will be, as was noted earlier by some of those who spoke, a government of and by and for the people, or whether we are going to stand by and accept the fact that it has largely been hijacked by a handful of people who think they're in charge. And I tell you what, we need to stand up and take our government back. We really do. And it's done at the ballot box. It's done at the ballot box. I'll tell you, there's people here from the media, and I appreciate those of you that are here covering this. And I'll tell you, people represent various networks and various ideologies, and there are those that would have you believe that people who care about individual liberty and care about freedom and care about the future and care about their children and care about the Christian foundations of this nation, they would have you think that the people who care about these things are a bunch of crazy people. But I'll tell you, I would challenge anyone, look around this crowd. What you see are your friends, your neighbors, your families. You see reflections of yourself. This is our country. This is a nation that has long been indivisible, and we are increasingly dividing this nation, starting with our current administration, and this has got to end. It has absolutely got to end. The question I was asked by the woman at Mayfest, she said, if I had to ask you, what is just one thing that you stand for, and only one thing? And she afterward commented that it didn't take me any time to answer, and she found that surprising, she said, because I ask that of everybody, and they always try to give me several things, or they have to think about which one. But what I told her is, if there's any one thing that defines who I am, or what I believe in this race, is that I believe in upholding and defending the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. This is what I believe. And if we don't take this seriously, if we don't fight for this with a sense of conviction, in a sense of passion, in a sense of urgency, the likes of which is being exemplified in that bouncy balloon, if we don't have a smattering of that same kind of energy and enthusiasm, then shame on us. Because I'll tell you what, we've got what happens in this electoral cycle of 2014 at the federal level, and we have what happens in the presidential election of 2016. And we either start to dial this back in, and we either restore this to being a nation of and by and for the people, or I worry that we will have lost our handle. Because if we become financially insolvent, and don't kid yourselves, the number one threat we face as a nation is the debt of this nation. You've heard analogies about how much $1 trillion is, or $17 trillion, and it's true, it's unfathomable to us, and yet we have people like Mitch McConnell who will vote time and time and time again to keep raising the debt ceiling with no concessions, to cutting anything anywhere, and it's got to end. It has to end. And it's up to us. We know it's up to us. We know it's up to us, so get out there and make it happen. Again, I'm grateful for all that you've done. Keep your foot on the gas. Everybody in the media keeps asking me. I did a television interview this morning, and I did a few over at Mayfest and some radio programs, and everybody asked, well, what's your strategy for the next 2 days? And I was telling them it's the same strategy I've had for the last 9 months, which is I actually go out and talk to voters. It's a crazy strategy, I know. It's different than the one my opponent uses, which is to take tens of millions of dollars from people who don't live in Kentucky and run ads reminding you that he's your friend. He's a friend of coal again, and he's a friend of veterans, and a friend of the small businessman, and a friend of puppies and apple pie as well. And he's a friend of all these things once every 6 years, and we're reminded of that with tens of millions of other people's dollars. I've been doing the same thing that I'll be doing for the next 2 days, and that is just continuing to talk to people, continuing to meet people, continuing to look people in the eye, take questions from people, and continue to put myself forward as a candidate for U.S. Senate. And I will tell you this, and I'll close with this. I do not need or want this job badly enough to misrepresent myself or to mislead you in order to get it. I just don't. And this is why I'm unapologetic in my support for life. It's why I'm unapologetic in my faith. It's why I'm unapologetic in my support of our Second Amendment rights. It's why I'm unapologetic in my defense of the Constitution. It's why I'm pro-family. It's why I believe in a limited government and less taxation and less regulation. Because while I realize these things don't necessarily appeal to everybody out there, I want people to know who I am and what I believe. And I want them to go into the voting booth and make an informed decision. And if they go in the voting booth and they make an informed decision, then we will indeed have the representation that we want and the representation we deserve. So spread the word, thank you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.